Everything changed in a matter of seconds. Welcome to NFL Nexus. We are bypassing the pleasantries today because we need to look at how a few scattered, seemingly minor off-season developments could be the absolute razor-thin difference between a devastating playoff exit and a Super Bowl parade for the Green Bay Packers. Please subscribe to the channel, like this explainer, and comment on what you thought down below. And if you truly want to support the work we do here, consider becoming a channel member. Okay, let's dive into this. The margins in the National Football League are entirely unforgiving. One single play, one minor transaction, one violent drill in the May heat. And right now, in Green Bay, the tension is palpable. You can feel it. The front office is maneuvering quietly behind closed doors. The foundational veterans are racing a grueling, unforgiving medical clock. The rookies are out there fighting for their professional lives on the sun-scorched grass. We are looking at a high-stakes puzzle where every single piece, every dollar, every rehab milestone, every violent snap at OTAs carries massive, franchise-altering consequence. Let's start with the absolute heartbeat of any football team, the most important position in all of sports.
The quarterback room? Jordan Love is the undisputed commander here. He is the face of the franchise, the man who holds the keys to the city. But what happens if you look behind him? There is a sudden, undeniable void. Malik Willis is no longer sitting behind him at Lambeau Field. Yes, the Packers brought in veteran Tyrod Taylor on a modest $2.5 million deal. That is a solid move, but think about how this league actually operates. When the lights are blinding, the pressure is crushing, and your starting franchise quarterback goes down on a random Sunday, a $2.5 million insurance policy might not be enough to save you when your championship window is kicked wide open. The stakes are simply too high to leave to chance. Reports have rapidly surfaced that the Packers might not be done tweaking this crucial position. The rumor mill is churning at full speed, but I need you to understand this is far more than just quiet, baseless whispers in the hallway. This is about a structural shift.
Look at the sheer scale of what is being proposed right now. This isn't just a casual rumor. It is a highly strategic, calculated pitch reported by ESPN to send former fourth overall pick Anthony Richardson to Green Bay. Richardson actually requested a trade from the Indianapolis Colts earlier this offseason. He wants out. The proposed compensation, a 2027 fifth-round draft pick. It's a fascinating scenario. Indianapolis, which has moved forward with Riley Leonard as their number 2, adding some much-needed future draft capital, while Green Bay would secure a prospect with an incredibly terrifyingly high ceiling. But why Green Bay? Because Richardson took notice. He specifically took notice of what head coach Matt LaFleur's system can do. He saw exactly what this coaching staff did to elevate Malik Willis, transforming raw, unpolished ability into functional, winning NFL success. It is a calculated, career-defining desire from Richardson's camp to land in a variation of that vaunted McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur offense. The raw production tells the story of a massive, franchise-altering gamble that could completely redefine this Packers offense. Just look at the numbers on your screen. In just 17 games played, across a remarkably messy, deeply fractured, injury-filled tenure filled with benchings and constant wavering by the Colts organization, Richardson has still somehow accumulated 2,400 passing yards and 11 touchdowns through the air. But it is the ground game that completely changes the defensive geometry. 634 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. He brings an undeniable, terrifying, dual-threat capability to the field. He is a physical anomaly. If Matt LaFleur can somehow harness that raw, unbridled athletic power, if he can sit him down and refine the mechanics from the ground up, the Packers don't just get a competent backup quarterback. They get a dynamic, game-breaking weapon that opposing defensive coordinators will literally lose sleep over trying to plan for. But bringing in a former top 5 overall pick is never, ever a simple transaction in this league. It comes down to leverage, it comes down to precise timing, and most importantly, it comes down to the money.
The financial deadline is the true invisible hand guiding this entire scenario. Over $5.3 million. That is the exact 2026 guaranteed money any team must swallow whole if they trade for Anthony Richardson before August 1st. ESPN laid out exactly what this complex money situation looks like, and it is staggering. The Colts' attempts to deal him might be completely, solidly frozen right now simply because of that massive prohibitive number. No one wants to eat that cap hit for a backup. But think about the strategy here. What if they wait? If a trade happens specifically after his August 1st roster bonus is paid out by Indianapolis, that number absolutely plummets. It drops off a cliff, all the way down to just $1.14 million for the acquiring team. This is a strategic, agonizing waiting game. It is a high-stakes standoff between NFL front offices where millions of dollars in salary cap space hang precariously on a single calendar date. Section 1. The Injury Ward Reality. The race against time for training camp. Let's look at the physical toll. We have to pivot now from the quiet, calculating negotiations of the front office back to the brutal, unforgiving physical reality of the gridiron. Because right now, absolute foundational pieces of the Green Bay Packers are currently trapped in a grueling race against the clock. This isn't about potential trades anymore. This is about mere survival. The margin for error here is absolute zero. Look at this timeline. Head coach Matt LaFleur confirmed the stark reality after Wednesday's OTA practice. Tight end Tucker Kraft went down in early November with an ACL tear. An early November injury gives the medical staff a runway, right? It gives the human body precious, necessary time to rebuild before the next season kicks off. LaFleur notes Kraft is currently ahead of his pace, potentially returning before or during training camp. But then there is December 14th. That date haunts Green Bay. In a devastating loss at Denver, right tackle Zach Tom suffered a torn patella tendon. A late-season patella tendon tear is an entirely different, highly complex medical mountain to climb, as that tendon anchors the entire knee's core mechanics. He likely won't return to on-field workouts until late summer training camp. And incredibly, that wasn't even the worst thing to happen on that exact same cursed turf.
You really have to visualize the scene in Denver. It's December 14th. The Packers defense is hunting. Star edge rusher Micah Parsons, a man with an incredible 65 career sacks over 5 dominant NFL campaigns, breaks right through the pass protection on the right side of the Broncos line. He is completely, totally free. He is 2 steps away from bearing quarterback Bo Nix into the frozen ground. 2 steps. And then, without being touched by a single offensive lineman, he falls violently to the turf. His left knee simply buckles. A non-contact ACL tear. In a fraction of a second, the entire trajectory of the Packers' defensive offseason is fundamentally altered. Parsons just turned 27 years old. He's in his prime. And now he is 5 excruciating months into a brutal recovery process, sparking debate with social media posts showing him doing intense, agonizing workouts in the deep sand, pushing his body to the absolute brink. But Coach LaFleur confirmed the harsh reality. Parsons is not likely to participate when the Packers start daily preseason workouts. 65 career sacks, sitting inactive on the PUP list. The immediate consequence of these massive absences is glaringly obvious the very second you step foot on the practice facility. As organized team activities officially begin, the veteran presence is noticeably, uncomfortably thin. A total of 16 players did not practice. That's a lot of bodies missing. But the most glaring voids belong to the 2 top-tier veterans missing from the very top of the roster. You have Micah Parsons rehabilitating his knee in isolation, fighting his own private war. And then you have star running back Josh Jacobs. Jacobs missed the start of OTAs after being taken into custody for an alleged domestic violence incident. Now, he was released without being formally charged, but the absence remains. When veteran leaders of this immense, undeniable caliber are missing from the building in May, it creates a heavy, undeniable vacuum in the locker room. The leadership, the tone setting, the energy, it all has to come from somewhere else. Section 2. New coaches, high energy. A culture shift at Ray Nitschke Field. Someone has to step up. As we said, nature abhors a vacuum, and with new coaching hires stepping onto the sun-splashed grass of Ray Nitschke Field, the internal culture of the Packers is violently, loudly evolving. The sheer intensity we are seeing in these first open practices is completely off the charts. Let's look at the special teams unit. New coordinator Cam McCord is bringing a ferocious, physically demanding energy that you just can't ignore. When new receiver and returner Sky Moore sprinted upfield after perfectly fielding a punt, McCord didn't just offer a polite golf clap. He screamed his absolute approval across the entire field, shouting, "That's good!" expletive. The drills themselves are complex, bizarre, and incredibly demanding. Later in practice, McCord handed a returner a tennis ball. Think about this. Just as the player was about to catch a booming kick off the massive foot of Daniel Whelan, they had to toss the tennis ball into the air, attempting to catch both the football and the tennis ball simultaneously. Why? Because in a live NFL game, you have 10 hyper-athletic gunners sprinting down your throat at 20 miles per hour. You have to track the football amidst total impending chaos. The tennis ball creates that sensory overload. It demands supreme, isolated focus under extreme duress. Jacoby Keeney-James showed an immediate, almost unnatural knack for it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ball, defensive passing game coordinator Bobby Babich is reshaping the secondary with a fiery, aggressive, and incredibly hands-on approach. The former Bills defensive coordinator was an absolute vocal force during one of the very first drills of the day, a takeaway and ball security period. Babich shouted his absolute unyielding approval for every single ball caught by his players. He is building them up loudly. And when they moved to the physically draining low-pad tackling dummy sessions, Babich was right there in the dirt with them, providing highly energetic, immediate feedback. He was demanding nothing short of relentless, violent aggression from the defensive backs as they drove their bodies through the heavy pads. You can literally hear this culture shift echoing across the practice field. It is not just coaching. It is a loud, unapologetic demand for perfection. They are changing the DNA of this defense right in front of our eyes.
Section 3. Shuffling the starting lineups. Building the trenches, where the real games are won. That intense, screaming energy from the coaching staff translates directly to the granular positional battles. Because ultimately, all the culture shifts in the world only matter if it builds a foundation that can win close, bloody, freezing games in the fourth quarter of December. And that foundation is built purely in the trenches. Right now, the coaching staff is aggressively shuffling the offensive line groupings. They are leaving absolutely no stone unturned to find the strongest, most cohesive combination of 5 massive men to protect Jordan Love's blindside. The rotation happening right now is absolute chaos, but it is a highly calculated chaos. The first snap of the day featured Jordan Morgan at left tackle, Aaron Banks at left guard, Sean Ryan at center, Anthony Belton at right guard, and Darian Kennard at right tackle. A solid unit. But it doesn't stay that way for long. The moment they settle, the number 2 line steps right in. Brant Banks, John Williams, Jaker Burton, Travis Glover, and Carson Barnhart. They are mixing, matching, constantly shuffling pieces on a 300-pound chessboard, moving Belton out to left tackle later in the practice just to see how he responds to the edge rush. It is a relentless, exhausting, physical search for the perfect 5.
And what is truly fascinating in these trench wars is the quiet, methodical rise of players who absolutely refuse to be forgotten. Look at the incredible story of John Williams. He was a mere 7th-round pick last year, an afterthought to many fans and analysts alike. He didn't play a single snap as a rookie because of a debilitating, intensely painful back injury that sidelined his entire campaign. But he didn't quit. He spent that dark year learning the playbook, rehabbing in the shadows, and preparing his mind for a second chance. Now, toward the end of practice, he was pulled up out of the rotation to take highly coveted first-team reps at left guard, sandwiched right between Jordan Morgan and Sean Ryan, the starting unit. Then the coaches tested his mental processing again, moving him straight to center. It is absolute proof that in this system, under the staff, every single rep in the heat of May has massive, season-altering consequences for September.
Section 4. Securing the kicking game, moving on from Brandon McManus. The pressure point.
Finally, we must look at the highest pressure, most isolated job on the entire team, the kicker. Earlier this month, the Packers made the definitive, cold business choice to release veteran Brandon McManus, who had held down that high-stress job for most of the past 2 seasons. Coach LaFleur stated bluntly, "I think it was only fair to Brandon and to our football team to make the move now." That move has cleared the stage entirely for a rookie. Enter Trey Smack. The Packers didn't bring in extra veteran competition to hold his hand. They are throwing him straight into the fire to see if he melts. As LaFleur noted, they are giving Smack the bulk of the work to put him in the best position possible. And let me tell you, his heavy leg was on full booming display. Smack was given a series of chip shots, 8 field goals ranging from 26 to 35 yards. He calmly made 7 of them, with just 1 potentially drifting to the right. But what makes this remarkable is the environment. Imagine the psychological weight of this. There is no veteran safety net. The protective net behind the uprights was only raised halfway up. Smack was booming kicks straight over the top of it, sending the ball soaring off into the distance. There were no officials there to signal good or bad. Just a rookie, a holder, and the massive, terrifying weight of an entire franchise's expectations resting entirely on the pendulum swing of his right foot.
So we step back and look at the whole massive picture. Every single tiny detail matters in this league. The millions of dollars strategically saved by waiting out an August 1st deadline for a dynamic, game-breaking quarterback prospect like Anthony Richardson. The agonizing, sweat-drenched 5-month sand workouts of a distensive superstar like Micah Parsons, desperately recovering from a devastating December night in Denver. The fiery, expletive-laden screams of new coaches demanding absolute perfection from rookies trying to catch a football and a tennis ball at the exact same time. Every lonely rep by an injured 7th-round draft pick trying to prove his worth, every booming kick by a rookie standing completely alone on the field, every relentless shuffle of the 300-pound men on the offensive line. It is all part of a massive, incredibly high-stakes puzzle. We are watching the Green Bay Packers attempt to snap the final, crucial pieces together before their championship window violently closes. Will it be enough to build a champion? That wraps up today's Deep Dive Explainer. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this explainer, and comment on what you thought down below. Do you think they have the pieces? Let us know. Support the channel by becoming a channel member, and we'll see you next time on NFL Nexus.